Alright, showcase of updated uh Infinity Utilities mod. Don't mind the model. Playing a mod pack with a friend. So anyway, couple things to note. This mod does require two other mods. First, you have Dimensional Teleport, which is this command right here. So you can specify a target, your location, and a dimension, and it'll teleport you there. This will come into play at the end of the showcase down over there at that. But we've got a ways to go until then. But it also requires Tinker's Construct, as you can see. And right here, you can see all of the molten metals that the mod adds. This will also be very important, as it's the only way you can refine most of them. So, first material is Uru. This is found, well, obviously in the Nether, considering it's in Netherrack, but it's found in the Nether. It spawns basically like diamonds, down at diamond level, about the same vein size and like vein count per chunk as diamonds. But Fortune does work on it as it drops raw Uru. The raw Uru, you can see, you can only melt. And it does just melt into one ingot, but you do have to use Blazing Blood. Blazing Blood is a constant necessity for the fuel if you want to melt down basically anything in Infinity Utilities. So, with the Uru, you can obviously make a nice looking block. All of these glow, except the pickaxe doesn't have any glowing on it. Oh yeah, but Uru can only be mined with netherite. And with it, you can make an Uru pickaxe, which is the same as netherite, but I think a little faster. With this Uru pickaxe, first off, it's made a little differently. You do need these rods, which is casted. So you'll need to actually do some casting over there. But yeah, and so with this, you can then pour the molten gold Uru alloy over it, which is made by combining molten Uru and molten gold, both of which you just get by melting the crap in Smeltery. Also, that is like the maximum size of Smeltery in terms of the width. It can go to 65 blocks tall. So, that is by no means the biggest. It's the largest base, but not the largest height. But yeah, so you'll have to make quite a bit of this alloy, and again, need Blazing Blood. But with this, you can coat the Uru pickaxe to make a gold Uru alloy pickaxe. The gold Uru alloy pickaxe can mine an ore that I actually didn't put over here like an idiot. It can mine this stuff here, which is fractalum. So I can mine the fractalum, and to do anything with this, you first have to blast it into the scrap, and the scrap melts down into an ingot's worth of molten fractalum, which can then be cast into whatever various things you need. But yeah, and so the fractalum pickaxe will be important for later, because it's the only thing that can mine those 6 deposits. We'll get to that, though. First off, the stuff you can make without mining those. So, the stuff you can make before having fractalum. Nope, that's an oak plank. So, you can make these wood pieces here, which are used to create the casts for you to make the Uru versions. So if you want, say, the Infinity Scythe, you have to actually cast the scythe handle and all that. But it uses quite a bit. As you can see, the scythe handle uses 3 blocks worth of the Gold Uru alloy. But yes, that's how you make these casts down here. And then you've got the Uru sword hilt, the Uru sword, and then the Uru double sword, which is doubled. Then you've got Infinite Great Blade and Infinity Scythe, both of which you can see have 6 slots. And then we have an empty Cosmirod, which is from pouring 2 blocks worth of Molten Uru over a Netherite pickaxe. And I believe that this is equal to an Uru pickaxe. But there's more you can do with it. And then you can also make empty Infinity Pistol. Like this. It doesn't do anything if it's empty. And then you've got the Infinity Gauntlet. So the Infinity Gauntlet is a little more interesting, because for one, it takes 5 entire blocks of the Gold Uru alloy. For 2, it uses a Gauntlet cast, which you cannot make. The Gauntlet cast is why that dude is here. So if you want to make the gauntlets, you have to get a weaponsmith up to master level, and then he will sell you the gauntlet cast for a pretty high price. But, then again, you have it infinitely. It's unlimited uses, so it's not like it's gonna break or anything, so you don't have to worry about it. But that's why it's so expensive, it's because it's an infinite use. But yeah, and then you have the Uru set, which looks very broken on this player model. But it goes to show that if you're using this mod, you probably shouldn't have a skin that has like 3D parts from a mod like mine does, or secondary layers like mine also does. This goes to show that that is a bad idea for armor that is modeled like this. It looks great, but it's not compatible with most skins. But yeah, so Fractalum Pickaxe is needed in order to mine these. Got your Power Deposit, Space Deposit, Reality, Soul, Time, Mind. You got all of them. Each of these will only drop you a singular fragment. Fortune does not work. Silk Touch does not work. There's no way to move these without turning it into one fragment. With your fragments, 4 of them create a shard. 8 shards around a fractalum ingot creates the corresponding stone, which are up here. So you got all your stones. They are very small in the hand, but I tried to make them as accurate to the size of a person as it looked in the movies like Infinity War and Endgame. But yeah, and so then you have these here. So, the Tesseract... Right. Tesseract I have to add a recipe for. It's going to be you pour molten glass over the Space Stone. But I haven't added that yet. But it allows using the Space Stone's powers without needing the gauntlet. But it's the same as the gauntlet, so it's not that necessary to show. But the Infinity Pistol is just the empty one, plus all the stones. And it just shoots. But if you have a macro, it can shoot very fast. And then you've got the Gauntlet, which is just the empty one with the stones. Or, the better way you can do it because it's pretty much assumed that you'll have the gauntlet before the stones, considering it's made out of just metals that you can mine. Meanwhile, the stones take quite a lot of finding these deposits. But something you can do is actually insert them. It does normally consume it, I'm just in creative, so it doesn't cooperate. You do have to do it in order, so if I try to do the time stone, it won't work. Same with soul and mind, you have to do it in the order it was done in the movies. Also, volume warning right now. If you have sensitive hearing, turn your volume down for this bit. I still have yet to find a better sound for that. Unfortunately, there's not many options for, like, an Infinity Gauntlet completed sound. But you can see you got some passive effects here, and you've got these abilities right here. So, toggle day-night, that's pretty simple. It just toggles it to whatever the opposite of the day currently is. So, if it's day, it'll make it night. If it's night, it'll make it day. Simple as that. Power Blast is simply a laser. It deals damage. That's it. Remove latest stone is pretty self-explanatory. If I press that right now, it would remove the Mind Stone. Hit it again, time, just go in reverse order. Snap will kill most entities in, I think it's like it's between a 20 and 50 block radius. I just forget exactly which it is. I know it's one of the two. So Space Portal sets you to spectator mode for a duration of time. I think it's like 10 seconds, and then it sets you back to whatever game mode you were in previously. So if you press that in creative, it'll do 10 seconds of spectator, and then put you back in creative. Same thing with survival. I didn't do it for adventure mode because nobody plays adventure mode anyway. Not if you're using this mod, at least. Space Teleport is pretty simple. You look at a block, you press the button, and it puts you on top of that block. Pretty self-explanatory. But that is something to note. If you're trying to teleport up, make sure the block you're pointing at just has enough space above it, because it will just put you in the wall. It doesn't care. It'll also teleport you great distances if you're just looking in the air, so careful with that. If you miss your target and you just teleport into the air, it will teleport you like a good 100 blocks into the air. So, reality copy, these two I can show. So 7 and 8. So if I hit 7 while looking at this oak plank, you can see I copied it, and you get a little toolbar thing that tells you what you copied. Then if you hit 8, it places it, replacing whatever block you're currently looking at. Or, if you hold shift and do it, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Okay, well, I'll have to... I see the problem. It's currently counting air as replaceable. It's not supposed to do that. Yeah. Minor bug fix, I simply just have to add the 3 types of air back to the non-dupe tag. Not that big of a deal. I figured something like that would be broken. It's because I had to redo the tags so many times. But yeah, so that's what those two do. Yeah, normally, if you crouch and press 8, it's supposed to only replace duplicatable blocks. So if I was to do that with the oak copied, it should only replace the polished andesite around me, with oak. That's what it's supposed to do and what it will do at the time of actually playing this mod. But yeah, so that is... Is that the whole gauntlet? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Also, something to note, when you have the gauntlet on, you have 100 health. As you can see down there, my hearts are green. But if you take it off, you'll notice that my hearts did not go back to normal. So, when you take the gauntlet off, it's recommended to right-click. Deals 1 magic damage, but it resets your health to actually be what it's supposed to be. Because it's just an unavoidable bug. It's just, I literally can't change that, because that's just how Minecraft itself behaves. But anyway... Then we have this. So this is not from the movies. It's not from any show or anything. This is from a YouTube series called What If? And this was the armor that Ultron could have had if he had won. This is basically if Ultron got the Infinity Stones before Thanos. But it gives you all the same powers as the Gauntlet, as well as improving some of your physical attributes. So the Gauntlet never gave you any sort of speed. This does. It also gives fire resistance. And again, it's very broken if you have secondary layers or 3D parts. This, however, does not boost your health. Gauntlet does. The Infinity Ultron armor does not. Something to keep in mind. Alright, then we have the Infinity Beacon. Pretty expensive to make, but for good reason. So, the Infinity Beacon does not take the stones, it takes these cores. Each core is 5 of the corresponding stone and 4 of the matching colored glass. So, for power, it's purple glass. For space, it's blue, etc. But what you can do with this is slot it into this, and then in a 32 block radius, everything will have strength 10 and resistance 4. However, I am unsure of if this applies to hostile mobs or not, so be wary. Throat drying the hell out. It's also worth noting that while a core is in the frame, you cannot break it. You have to take the core out if you want to break and move the frame. Alright. And then we've got these 2 weapons, like we saw before, but now they have the stones. Now they have the stones in them. And it's simply just you combine the empty weapon with the stones. And they do the same thing, only difference is attack damage and attack speed. The scythe is quite quick, but it's a bit lower damage, while the great blade is slower, but higher damage. But they both have all the same abilities. Now, going back to the Cosmirods, if you put a stone in your offhand, and then right-click an empty Cosmirod, it inserts it. With this in your hand, resistance 3, haste, and it hits quite hard. Because if you look at this one, it does 10 damage. And if you look at, say, any of these other ones, they all do 12 damage. But this one does 16. But again, they're quite slow. But one of them is faster. And that's the time... That's the Cosmic Rug with the Time Stone in it. This one hits at the speed of a pickaxe. So 1.2 attack speed. Alright, now into Dwarvish Alloy. So this is the combination of Molten Obsidian, Molten Iron, and Molten Netherite. You combine all three of those and you get Molten Dwarvish Alloy. What you can do with this is cast it into ingots and blocks to craft an empty infinity generator. So this takes 4 Dwarvish Alloy ingots, a block of Dwarvish Alloy, and a Fractalum ingot. And what you can do with this, as you can see, I have a Nitro Energy cell from the Power mod underneath it. But what this does is you insert an Infinity Stone, and then it will charge whatever energy cell or battery is under it. Something to note, you cannot attach cables to the generator, and it does not output anything on the top or sides. It is only the bottom, and it only works for batteries or energy cells. I believe it'll probably work for machines because it is set up to work with anything that has an internal power buffer. So if it can contain a bunch of power in it, say a metallurgic infuser from Mechanism, that'll work because it has its own internal buffer for power, its own like internal power storage. But yeah, so that'll work for that. But just to show, so Mind Stone gives you 100,000 100,000 FE per tick. You see, per tick, it's going up by 100,000. But the Power Stone, and so yeah, Mind Stone, 100,000 per tick. Time Stone, 200,000 per tick. Soul Stone is 400,000 per tick. Reality Stone is, I believe, 600,000 per tick. Space Stone is 800,000 per tick. And then finally, Power Stone is 1 million per tick. So the Power Stone charges this Nitro Energy cell very fast. You gotta remember, this is storing 140 million FE, and this thing's just charging it like nothing. But yeah, so that's a very good source of power if you have tech mods installed. So, Compressed Infinity Ingot is you smelt down a filled Infinity Gauntlet. Specifically blast it, actually. What you can do with this is 2 things. There's 2 routes you can go. You can either make the Omni Gauntlet, which is this beautiful pitch black gauntlet, or you can make the Infinity Glove from the Marvel comic books. The Omni Gauntlet is 5 blocks of Dwarvish Alloy poured over a Compressed Infinity Ingot. Compressed Infinity Ingot is one-time use, so it will consume it. And then the Omni Gauntlet is a bit unique. You don't fill it with the Infinity Stones, you fill it with the Infinity Cores. But it is far more powerful. Because if I go in Survival, you can see it boosts me to 160 health. Normal Infinity Gauntlet only did 100. But you can see this one also boosts your movement quite a bit. But it gives like regeneration 10, resistance 4. I think this is strength 20, it just doesn't show a number, because It's too high of a number for it to show. But yeah, speed, jump boost, and soul health 2. Soul health is what actually does the increased health, by the way. So soul health 1 is 100 total health. Soul health 2 is 160 total health, and so on. It's only programmed up to a certain amount of levels. Past that, it won't go any higher. But yeah, if you make the Infinity Glove, this one is also very different, because this one, you have to use the gems. And you can see they're different colors than normal, and in different positions. So, the Reality Gem is the Reality Core surrounded by Reality Stones. So one of these gems is, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of an Infinity Stone. 13 of an Infinity Stone gives one of the corresponding gem. And with it, you get the Infinity Glove, which boosts you to 220 health. Let's see, will I overflow colors? Nope, not quite. Yeah, Infinity Glove gives saturation, fire resistance, luck, water breathing. Far more health. It does not boost your movement like the Omni Gauntlet, though, which is something to be mindful of. And again, you can just... anything that boosts your... that increases your health like that has a right click so that you can get rid of it. Because it's very annoying. But yeah, and then we have the Thanos armor from the comic books. But again, it's very broken with secondary layers or 3D components. And then we'll skip over to here first. So these are lightsaber components. You've got like the pommel cap, which is made with Uru and Netherite. The inert power insulator, more Uru, iron nugget, gold nugget, redstone dust. Focusing lens, more Uru, more Netherite, glass pane, activation stud, redstone dust, more Uru. Emitter matrix, more Uru, Netherite, iron, specifically lime stained glass. Keep that in mind, it has to be lime. But yeah, and then the blade emitter, which uses the emitter matrix, and more iron, Netherite, and Uru. And if you combine all of that together with more Uru and more Netherite, you get an empty lightsaber hilt. So, if you take a stone, put it in your offhand, hilt in your main hand, you can insert it. Right-clicking the closed hilt opens it. And then it acts as a sword with pretty high damage, and it is indestructible, which also means that you cannot enchant it. But it deals heavy damage. But yeah, and then you can close it again, which allows you to shift right-click to take the stone out. But yeah, and then back to this section. So, we have iridium ore. Now, we didn't see this in the end. That's because... or actually, no, we haven't... I haven't been to the end yet in this video, so... never mind, we'll get there in a second, and then we'll see if it spawns correctly. If not, it's just because this is a world that existed before I had added this. But yeah, so, iridium... you just mine the ore and it drops itself, just like iron or gold, because we are in 1.16. And it gives you molten iridium. Molten iridium can be used to make the Radiant Gauntlet, which also uses the Gauntlet cast in 5 blocks of iridium. But yeah, so this also takes cores. Not stones, not gems, it takes the cores. But you'll also notice that the model actually has almost a circle on the back of it. Very glad that Blockbench has shape generators. But yeah, so this, you just right-click to insert the core. Which turns on the three rings on the gauntlet as well. But yeah, so these have different abilities from the Radiant Gauntlets are supposed to be that you're the master of that core. Because if I take this out, yeah, capable of wielding the full power of the inserted core, which implies that all the other stuff that uses the cores cannot use its full power, except these. So the space one, you have the instant teleport from the gauntlet. Yeah, let me not fall off the platform, that'd be nice. You have the portal ability, the spectator from the gauntlet. But in addition to that, and the reason that you have to have the dimensional teleport mod is this. So this is unique to this gauntlet. But it should, in theory, support any modded dimension, and it tells you the format to do down here. So you want your XYZ coordinates, so we'll do just a little showcase here in the overworld. So we'll do 8, 4, 8. We'll actually do 5, because 4 might clip us into the floor. And then Minecraft, since we don't have any dimension mods installed. Overworld, since that's where we want to go. And boom, we're there. And you can keep clicking the button as long as the menu's open as well, if you really want to. It's not much reason to be honest. But the great thing about this is that you can go to different dimensions. So if I, for instance, want to go to the end, all I have to do, and just to keep in mind, the central end island that has like the dragon and the pillars and all that, that is at 0, 0. So if you put in, say, 0, 67, 0, that'll put you directly on top of that center like fountain that takes you back to the overworld. And then Minecraft, the end, and I'm here. Yeah, let's get out of here. Dragon's loud. Yeah, and something to keep in mind for this is that when you teleport between dimensions, it will look like the screen is closed and you'll be able to move around. But keybinds, such as like the fast offhand switch, won't work until you open and close your inventory. Don't know why that is. It's just a weird occurrence that happens that I have no control over. What I could probably do is make it so that whenever you hit the teleport button, it closes the GUI. That's something that I should probably do, and most likely will try to do. Unless I'm feeling lazy and just don't care enough, which is also very likely. But yeah, and currently the only other Radiant Gauntlet that has unique abilities is the Reality one. Because if we come down here... Yeah, the Infinity Glove also has different abilities. I forgot to show them. I'll just put you on H. So let me show that first. So, Infinity Glove, put this on. And I already forgot all the controls. Okay. So K is basically the instant teleport. So it's the same thing, different color. So time stop is an interesting one. Have to work out the details on it a bit because it does currently freeze yourself in place. Because if I hit this right now, hit B, you can see both of us are affected by the time freeze potion effect. So he's frozen, and I cannot jump, I'm hitting spacebar, and I can barely move. Other entities will be completely frozen in place, it's just because players have the manual movement keys. So there's no way to actually completely freeze a player in place without the use of the slowness effect, but I didn't want to use slowness because it's overdone. Too many people use slowness for, like, time stop abilities anyway. But yeah, I have to try and do a thing so that it either doesn't affect you or immediately removes it from you. But yeah, and then N and M. So, something you can do, if you have an item, such as a diamond sword, that has durability, you can hit M to make it unbreakable. Or, if you want more diamond swords, you can hit N to copy it. And this works for any item in your hand, it does not care what it is. It'll even copy anything that has data on it. So if your sword is half damage, it'll give you more half damage swords. But another thing it does is it actually copies the amount of items you have. So if I have 1 diamond, it gives me 1 more. But if I have 2, like I do now, it brings it up to 4. And then 8, 16, 32, 64, and now it's just giving me full stacks. So it'll give you whatever item you have with every tag on it, and in the amount that you are currently holding. So, very overpowered. Because you can literally duplicate anything. It doesn't care what it is. It could be from any mod. It could be the dragon egg, which, mind you, you only get 1 of per world. At least in Java. I think in Bedrock there's some way to get more. But this is Java, because I don't play Bedrock. There's not enough ways to mod the game in Bedrock. But yeah, so let me check the controls. Alright, K is the only one I didn't press. Yeah, this one is a different key because it has a different particle color. It also only does the particle for where you just were, instead of both where you were and where you went, like the other one does for the Infinity Gauntlet. But yeah, and so, the Radiant Gauntlet of Reality, for one, you'll notice that I have projectile deflection. What that means is any projectile that gets within 5 blocks of me now will be deleted. So pillagers and skeletons are completely useless against someone that has this gauntlet on. This gauntlet also has both of the reality powers that the glove has. So you can make things unbreakable, and it does the copying whatever you're holding thing. But another thing it does is if I hit H, it makes mobs float. Lasts for 10 seconds. And you'll probably notice that... Oh no, it actually does remove it from me fast enough. Okay. That's good to know. There we go. But yeah, so this gauntlet is actually done. This one's actually completed. And I'm probably going to count the space one as completed since it now has the dimensional teleport power. But that power does require having the dimensional teleport mod installed. Because if I go, let's see. Right, modern versions don't have the mods button. That is unfortunate. But either way, I have that installed. And also, if we want to see pouring one of the gauntlets, you see it takes quite a while, because it pours it one ingot at a time, and you need 5 blocks of the stuff. So yeah, it takes a bit. That's the Gauntlet cast, and this is the Gold Uru alloy, so this will make the Empty Infinity Gauntlet. And then if we do Iridium in this one, it'll do an Empty Radiant Gauntlet. And as you can see, it also has quite the cooling time. It's a little buggy with how it looks while cooling, but there's nothing I can do about that because that's a problem with Tinker's Construct, not my mod. It's just because the way they do the overlay for the like cooling effect. You can see it happening with this one too. But yeah, unfortunately there's just literally nothing that can be done about that. It just kind of does that. But yeah, so we got Infinity Gauntlet. And if we give this enough time, we'll have a Radiant Gauntlet, like over there. Also, you can see it's probably going to be quite hard to see Iridium in the end, because it's white, and Endstone is a very light color, so it'll probably be pretty hard to see. And there we go, a Radiant Gauntlet. It appears in the casting basin way bigger than it should, but I can't do anything about that because that's just how large the model looks in a casting basin. But yeah, you can also pour out like blocks and ingots as well. But yeah, and as always with my mods, many of these textures and models are not mine. I cannot claim any of these as mine. Like, there are a couple things that I did make. Like, let me see here. So, the cast textures and the wood textures I made here for these 8 items. These ones I did not make, because I found these 2 models in various texture packs. Just recolored them, and then I split them apart in order to do those. And the base textures for the casts are taken directly from Tinker's Construct, because I wanted to maintain continuity. Make sure everything looks, you know, correct and as if it's supposed to flow correctly. Obviously, all the armors are just skins that I found online. So, like, this was just a Thanos skin. I just removed the bits where it actually showed Thanos, so it was just the armor. Same thing with this Ultron one. I had to remove, like, the face. And then these are obviously just the amethyst shard texture from newer versions of Minecraft that I recolored. And these are the resource crystals from Mechanism, just, again, recolored. And then these were originally the geode ores from Wormroost, which, again, recolored. And I made the texture for the Infinity Stones, but not the model themselves, because I didn't know what to do with them for the model at the time. The Mind Stone I did do both the model and the texture, sort of. It was more of a modification of one of these models, because I wanted to make sure it was a bit larger like it was in the movies. Obviously, that I didn't make, I just added the rainbow, because the original was the gray over there. And then this was actually the Infinity Generator model and texture from Loocraft Core back in 1.12. I just obviously recolored it gold. And then this is using textures from the Lost Infinity Stones mod shown in Sundee's Insane Craft series. It's just multiple different textures cobbled together. I forget what this one was, but I'm not going to claim it as my own because I'm not sure. But the model I did make for the generator, just not the textures. Obviously, these are just recolors of the Infinity Gauntlet, which is a model and texture I did not make. This is a model, however, that I did make. And I remember making it because it was hell trying to get the fingers to look right. It's very difficult to do blocky fingers. You wouldn't expect it to be that difficult, but it was. But yeah, I modeled it referencing an image off of Google from the actual Infinity Gauntlet from the comic books, which is also where I got the colors and positions for the full one here. And then, I don't remember where I got these textures. I think... Actually, no, yeah, I did make these textures. I took an ender pearl and just stretched the texture a bit taller, and then recolored them. Took me a second to remember. And then the ingot and block of iridium are from 3Core, which is made by the same guy that made Loocraft. Just, it's basically Loocraft Core for newer versions. I tend to not use it much. There's not really any add-ons for it either. But these two textures here are directly taken from it. This one, I got the texture for the ore pieces from the iridium ore, but I replaced all of the stone with endstone, which took forever, by the way. All of these assets, all the textures and models for the lightsaber stuff, all of that was from the Survival Plus mod, Survival Plus lightsabers, because I was not about to try to make that myself. Like, that is far too much detail in there for me to try to do myself. But yeah, and the Radiant Gauntlet is another model that I did make. And this one definitely turned out way better than the glove. This one looks far better. I also tried to make this one look a little more Minecraft-like by including some of the standard galactic alphabet on here. Some of the symbols don't actually mean anything because it's literally just a mirror of ones that exist but don't have a mirrored counterpart. Yeah, so that is the mod. I'll have to make update videos as I add stuff to the other Radiant Gauntlets, because right now it's just stuff that is already seen in, like, the glove or the Infinity Gauntlet. Nothing unique to those, to the Radiant Gauntlets, other than Space and Reality. Those are the only two that have anything unique to them right now. But yeah, that is the Infinity Utilities mod as it stands at the time of making this video.